it's me, Sully. Yes, I'm still wearing the same shirt as the last part because this is the same video, it's just separated. Yeah. Okay, so my last part, I told you about how we started dating. This will be about us actually dating and how the military became a thing and how we got married. So, this isn't the perfect love story that I wish it was. So you may be surprised. So we started dating, and before we started dating, we discussed him being in the military. Now, originally he wanted to go into the Navy, and I had told him how I refused to date somebody in the military. I have issues that maybe we could discuss in a different video, but I have issues, and I can't be alone for long periods of time. I can't be alone for short periods of time. So I never wanted to be in a military relationship because I knew what that meant. I've had family members be in the military, and I've discussed things with them, and I don't want that kind of relationship. And I told him up front. And he told me that he was considering it. And I told him, well, if you're considering it, kiss this relationship goodbye because I don't want that at all. So he's like, well, I haven't really decided. It's not, that big of a deal to me. It's like, okay. So once we start dating, he mentions it a couple times when I go into the Navy, and I always tell him, like, I don't want anything to do with that. I don't want to be a part of that kind of relationship. And it's not that I don't respect people in the military, because I 100% do respect people in the military. It's just, for me personally, I didn't think that I could be in that kind of relationship. My issues don't really allow me to be in that kind of relationship where my spouse is constantly gone. So he continues saying, well, I'm not sure, I don't really know. Well, then comes New Year's. We got together on May 9th, and I started falling in love with this kid. And, in love. And at first, I was really skeptical because I'd never been in a relationship for longer than 2 months, and I believe the words love, the word love, especially I love you, is very special, and you don't just throw that around. And I didn't want to throw it around, and I told him that. Well, about 2 weeks in, I tell him that I love him. Now, he's been telling me that he loves me from the very beginning. And he feels like he's loved me since the day he met me. So I give in and I say, I love you back. 2 weeks in. Just, I'm still just a junior. Don't really know what love is, just know that it's special. But I really did feel like I loved this kid, we've had discussions about things that he had all the right answers, and I really think that he genuinely, that's generally how he felt. He wasn't just saying all the right answers just to get what he wanted, he really felt that way. And I was his first real girlfriend. Now, he had a girlfriend beforehand, but they never so much as held hands. So I was his real first girlfriend. So I knew that he considered me something special, so I told him that I loved him. That love grew stronger. After 6 or 7 months, I have New Year's with his family, and everything was fine, It was first time being away from my family for New Year's, but it was no big deal because I was with, Michael. And I'm already in love with him. I am head over heels for him. We only talk about the military a couple times here and there, but I was in love with him. And from what I knew, the military wasn't a sure thing. It wasn't something that he was actually going to do. Well, I was with his family, his stepmom, his step-siblings, and his sister. and his dad wasn't there yet. So I was sitting there with his family, and we were playing with his dog, Diego, and his sister asks, hey, what are you going to do with Diego when you leave for the Navy? And I'm just kind of like, oh, excuse me? What do you mean when you leave for the Navy? Like, they acted like it was a sure thing. And his stepmom goes on to say, oh yeah, he's probably going to leave him here with you until he can come back and pick him up. Like, they were talking about it like a sure thing. And I look at Michael, and he just kind of looks at me nervously. And I'm just kind of like, excuse me? Then I talked to him about it privately, and apparently it's like a sure thing. Like, he was going to go sign up with the Navy really soon as he could, as soon as he turned 17, I believe. And I was like, you told me that this wasn't a sure thing. You know, I wouldn't have gotten this involved with you if I knew that this was your plan. Because I can't do it. You know, I don't think I could do it. And he just apologized to me and said, like, yes, this is a sure thing. At this point, you know, 6 or 7 months into the relationship, I'm in love with him. With all of my body, I know people are probably like, oh, you're so young, you don't actually know what love is. No, I felt with my entire body that I was in love with this kid. But he just shattered my world, telling me that he faked it. Not faked love, but faked not being sure about it for the past 6-7 months. Because he was scared that I was going to dump him. That's messed up, you know? Like, that really hurt me. But what am I supposed to do? You know, I love him. What am I supposed to do? So, I'm angry, but it's his decision, and my decision is to stay with him. Even though he's lied to me, even though I thought all this was under control, I was wrong, but I love him, and I'm going to follow him. You know, we discuss a lot of things at this point. You know, how long is he going to be in? What's he going to be doing? When's he going to leave? What's the plan with everything? And are we going to continue dating? Are we going to break up for the time that you're in the military and try to get back together afterwards? Like, what's the deal? And I thought, he made me think that I could go live with him even though we weren't married. And I knew nothing about the military. I didn't know that wasn't the case. It wasn't until a little bit afterwards, about in our second year, that I found out that, our second year of dating, that I found out that you can't do that. If you're gonna move with him, you have to be married in order to live with him. That kind of messed things up, you know, because I don't want to break up. You know, I don't want to break up with him for 4 years because we're going to grow apart, and I don't want to grow apart. I want to grow together. And that's like, it just kind of messed everything up. And I was like, well, Michael, what are we going to do? You're leaving in less than a year, and we're going to have to break up. So we devise a plan. At this time, Michael's 17, I'm 18, and we decide we're going to get married before he leaves. So we go to my dad, because my dad's opinion is very important to me. His blessing is very important to me. And we talk to him about it. And we're talking maybe 3 or 4 months time are we going to get married. But the problem is, Michael's 17. He cannot get married if he's 17. He has to wait until he's 18 to get married without the signature of his parent. So his dad gave permission. He's like, yeah, I'd do it for you. I will sign that paper for you. Now, his mom's gone. His mom's dead. So that wasn't an issue. It just needed that one parent. And his dad was going to do it. Well, my dad wasn't thrilled with the idea. He didn't think that it was the best idea for me. He nor my mom thought that we should be getting married. Not because they didn't like him, just because they knew me and knew that I would have a very hard time with this. So we discussed it, and my dad pretty much, he like sort of gave his blessing, but him and my mom proposed an idea of waiting a year. Have Michael wait a year to go into the military, and instead of going right then, right in that July, him wait a year, we get married, because my dad had like regulations on what had to be done before we can get married. Like, we had to be together for 3 years, we had to live together for a year, and one of us or both of us have to go into school and finish some sort of degree, was his rules. Well, he was willing to bend those rules because, the whole military thing. So we still had to be together for 3 years, and we could live with each other for as long as possible. So me and Michael talk about it, and he doesn't like that idea at all. He does not want to leave. He does not want to wait. He wants to leave right then. He doesn't want to wait a year. And the reason for that is because everybody, his dad, his cousin, like everybody is telling him, if you don't go now, you will never go. You will never go if you don't go now. So Michael's like, I'm not gonna go. Or I'm not gonna wait. I need to go now. And I told him, well, then you have to choose. It's not me or the military. That's not the choice. The choice is the military now, or me now, then the military later, just a year later. That's it. It wasn't me or the military. I would never make him give up his dream like that. That's not the kind of person I am. Just wait a year so we can be together, we can get married, and then you go into the military, and then we can live together in the military. He didn't like that idea. He didn't like the idea, and he told me that he's leaving. He's going to leave me. That broke my heart, because that means he and I are breaking up, because I gave him the choice. And I stood by that choice. I told him, okay, then I guess that's us breaking up. But I cannot control my crying. I was so distraught by that. The fact that he's breaking up with me so he can go into the military right now. And I called him, tears streaming down my face. Do not do this. Please do not do this. I'm begging you, don't do this. Why does it have to be now? You're not even 18. Why do you have to leave right now? Why can't you just wait a year, stay with me, we can get married, and then we can go in together. You can leave, and then we can move somewhere. Why does it have to be right now? And he told me what his dad said and that kind of stuff, and I told him, like, I will support you. I will make sure that you follow your dream. I will make sure that you will go. And he changed his mind. He said, well, if you think that I can do it, if you think that I will do it, then I'll do it. I'll wait, and then I'll go in next year. And I thanked him for that, and I was so happy. And at that moment, I was like, thank you so much. Thank you for not leaving me. Thank you for waiting. You will not regret this type of thing. That moment caused a lot of strife between us. At that moment, Michael dumped me to go into the military. Yes, I changed his mind, but he still dumped me for the military, for something that he could have done, that he did do a year later. It took me a very long time to get over that. He proposed shortly after that, but it wasn't that easy. he delayed telling his recruiter that he wasn't going because he was hoping I'd change my mind. He would tell me that he was going to do it, just he needed to find the right time to do it. And I would ask him, oh, so did you do it? No, not yet. Did you do it? No, not yet. And he would try to convince me, well, maybe it wouldn't be too bad, to do it, to just do it now. You know what I mean? Like, maybe we can just get, eloped and that'd be fine. That pissed me off. That ticked me off more than anything. Because even after he chose me, he was still hoping that I'd change my mind. Because he was worried that he wouldn't do it if he didn't do it now. He didn't trust me. And he was just going off what his dad was saying. And eventually, I got him to give in and tell his recruiter, no, I'm not going now. I will be going next year. Eventually, he proposed to me. And we got engaged. And later that year, he moved in with me because he turned 18. And he moved in with me. And I still don't think he was sure about his decision. I think he was having a hard time with that decision. Well, then my dad died that same year. So last year, my dad died in August, the same time that he moved in with me. And we had a lot to talk about because, now both of us have lost a parent. And we talked, and Michael saw the wrong in his ways, and he realized that this was the best decision, because if Michael had left, my dad would have died and I would have been alone. He wouldn't have been there to comfort me. And yes, I have my mom and my sister and my family, but Michael has always been the person I go to when I'm sad and upset. He's my rock. And he would have been gone. And not on good terms. He would have been gone because he would have dumped me for the military. And then my dad would have died and he couldn't do anything about it, and he just would have been in a really bad situation. So he was very happy that he decided to choose me over the military. For then, he still went into the military. He's still gone right now. But he chose me at that time, and he's happy that he did that. A little while later, Michael comes to me and he asks me, how would you feel if I chose the Air Force instead of the Navy? And I was just like, what? Like, sure, I guess. And he told me the benefits of the Air Force instead of the Navy. And pretty much the Air Force is better when it comes to our relationship. Deployments tend not to be as long. Communication's a lot better. He won't be at sea for a long period of time. Like, communication is just going to be better in general. Like, seeing each other, talking to each other, all of that. And he decided that that's what he wanted to do instead. And I was like, well, yeah, of course, that's so much better. Yeah, like, great. I'm happy for that. So we started making plans for that. And this whole time we're engaged and we're getting ready to get married. And he chose to go to the Air Force. And after a while, like, he goes to the recruiter, tells the recruiter when he can go after our wedding. And they tell him, like, the date. He does all the fun stuff. And he tells me, he thanks me for making him wait a year. Because if he didn't wait a year, he would have been going into a field that he didn't want to go to. Because he was going to go because his dad and his cousin went to the Navy. And obviously he's going to the Air Force, so that's what he really wanted to do. So he told me that he was happy that he chose me because, one, he decided to go to the Air Force, something that he actually wanted to do, which he wouldn't have done then. And two, because, my dad died and he could be here, everything. And three, because it strengthened our relationship a lot and it allowed us to get married. However, in my heart and my mind, I just kept remembering the night he dumped me. And I held it against him. Even though he chose to stay, I held that against him. And it was very hard for me to let go. Because he dumped me. You know, he let go of me for something that he didn't even want. So how could I be wanted if he, you know what I mean? So I held it against him, and he tried to reassure me all that he could that he loves me with all of his heart and he really wants to be with me, and like he's so sorry that that happened. He beat himself up over it all the time, and I made him relive it. Like I forced him, I brought it up all of the time so he could feel the pain that I had to feel. And then I was constantly feeling that pain. Always thinking, maybe he doesn't love me. Maybe he just chose me because he took pity on me because I cried and I called him and I begged him to stay with me. Well, then we had a marriage counseling session, and pretty much the marriage counseling session that a lot of people have to do before they get married, if they have a pastor, talked about forgiving. Like there's always something that people don't let go, and you need to be completely forgiving. Because if you can't let that go, you'll never be able to let that go. And that's not healthy for a marriage. So I didn't think I could do it, but I did. I let go. And since then, I barely think about it. It doesn't bring me to tears when I think about it. You know, it doesn't anger me when I think about it. It saddens me a little bit, but I look at what has happened now because of it, you know. I'm just happier now. So we got married, and we took a trip to Disney for my birthday, not for our honeymoon. And we decided that Michael was going to take all of the next month off, and he could just kind of chillax the whole time, which was great for a relationship because I got off at 4 every day, and at noon every day, and I just got to see my husband, and he was just so happy, and we could be with each other, and it really strengthened our relationship. And then he left for the Air Force a week ago, and that's how everything happened. You know, that's how everything that I can think of happened. It was a long, hard process, but that's kind of how it went from not even knowing this was a thing to finding out that Navy was the thing to finding out that he chose the Navy over me, but then he chose me over the Navy, and then he chose the Air Force over the Navy, and now he's gone. Yeah. So, I can go into more specifics about like different things if that's something that you guys would like to see, but that's pretty much the gist of our story from my perspective, and I would love if my husband could come on and tell his perspective, but obviously that won't be for a long time if it comes to that. But if it is something you'd like to see, if you could comment down below to let me know. Also, anything else, like any ideas that you have for future videos. I kind of just gonna do my own thing, whatever I want, I guess, and I'm gonna be up on those weekly updates about how I'm dealing with the military and myself. So that was my update, or not, no, that's not my update. That was my story, our story, as of, right off the top of my head. So I hope you stay tuned for the next video. Not sure what it's gonna be yet, but I'd love to see you there. Sweet dreams.